Buyers right now are getting offers accepted at under the asking price. Buyers right now are getting offers accepted with concessions, meaning money back from the sellers. Hi, I'm Realtor Jeff Glover, and we're actually live in a JGA sales meeting, and we've got some attendees right here holding the phones. You guys can turn them and show the rest of the audience. And we're having something take place in the market right now that I think is important for everyone in Detroit and Grand Rapids to be aware of. And first things first, there is some doom and gloom in these reports, there's no doubt. But there's also some amazing silver lining. And so my name is Jeff Glover, and we're live here at a JGA sales meeting. And what I'm seeing in the market today is pretty astounding. In fact, some things haven't happened since 2008, 2009, since the last crash. Let me share with you. If you were to take, for instance, Greater Wayne County, which is all of Wayne County minus the city of Detroit, sales were actually down in Wayne County by 19%. Closings. What's a little scarier is that pendings were down 24% in Greater Wayne County. That's the area, that's your Plymouth, your Northville, your Livonia, your Canton, your Westland. That's everything outside of Detroit. Why I'm a little concerned that pendings are down more than closings is because that's an indication for what could come next month. So if closed sales were down 19% in the month of September and pendings were down 24% in the month of September, then essentially what that means is in the month of October, we could see a bigger number decline, something we haven't seen since 2008, 2009. Now, one thing I'm also seeing take place right now in the market is the available inventory is actually up 10%. So now, what does that mean? Well, there's two things that we look at. We look at new sellers entering the market, and we look at available homes for sale. If you were to take a look at, this is in the entire MLS in Metro Detroit, new people entering the market, meaning new listings coming on the market, was actually down 13%. But watch this. The available inventory was up 10%. So how does that happen? Think about this for a second. If new homes coming on the market is down 13%, how does available inventory increase by 10%? And the answer is a lower percentage of listings are actually selling. You see, in the last market, 90 to 95% of every listing that came on the market sold. That was abnormal, not something we've ever experienced before in my 20 years of doing it. Even going back to 2004, 2005, when I first got started, not every single listing that hit the market sold. So what we're starting to see is this is going to return back to normal. And what is normal? A normal market on listings selling is about 60 to 70% of the listings that come on the market will actually sell. That means then 30 to 40% of the homes coming on the market will not sell. And that's what's taking place. We just saw that take place in the month of September, and we're going to see it even more in the month of October and November and so on. Now, the good news is for buyers, that actually means more choices. I started off by saying buyers are getting homes for under the asking price, and buyers are actually getting concessions. That's because of that statistic right there. When there's more homes available for sale because less are selling, sellers are going to become more flexible with things they do to help you get into a home. So I know as a buyer, you might be thinking, well, yeah, Jeff, we're still paying a 1.5 higher than I would have 6 months ago. Well, even 6 months ago, 3%, 4%, that wasn't even real. I mean, we had a lot of things happen in the last market that weren't real. 6% interest rate, 6.5% interest rate, if you take a look at the last 20 years, is a very normal rate. It's like a very average rate over the last 20 years. The 3 to 5% stuff that we saw for the last 5-7 years, that was abnormal. And so what this means for a buyer today is you can get into the market and pay a normal interest rate, somewhere around 6% or 6.5%, or if they come back down, maybe 5 3/4, or if they go back up, maybe 7%. You can get into the market at a normal rate, but it also means you have more to choose from and less competition from other sellers. And so you can do things like buying down your interest rate. If you want that 5% interest rate, you can buy it down by asking the sellers for help with closing costs. Couldn't do that in the last market. That's something you can do now. So not all is lost on this interest rate thing, because we just had an example. For instance, one of our associates, Amy Duncan, had a buyer sale in Livonia where she was able to not only get the buyer $10,000 off of the asking price, but they also got $8,000 in concessions. That's an $18,000 swing. That didn't happen 3-6 months ago. So if you're a buyer paying attention to this, this is a great time to enter the market. Don't worry about, interest rates being so high. We can get that stuff down with help from the sellers. And you're going to be able to get help from the sellers. Now, if you're a seller paying attention to what's going on in the market, don't think things are going to be better in the spring. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I probably wouldn't be selling real estate. But if we take a look at what's actually happening in the market, all the economic indicators tell us that homes are about to start to come down in price. In fact, the average sales price, watch this. The average sales price in September of 2022 versus September of 2021 was only up 2.5%. Now you might say, well, Jeff, they were still up. Doesn't that mean they're going up? No, they're trending downwards. Because when I took a look at the same report last month, average sales price was up 8 or 9%. The month before that, average sales price was up 13 or 14%. The month before that, average sales price was up 16 or 17%. So I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would bet that when the October market report comes out, which will be sometime in mid-November, when the October market report comes out, for the first time since 2010, we're going to see a minus sign in home prices. And I'm not saying that to cause doom and gloom. I'm not saying that for everyone to get concerned. I'm preparing you for what's going to happen in the media, because the media is going to grab onto that information and they're going to say sales were down 25% for the first time in over a decade. Prices fall for the first time in 15 years. That's going to be the narrative. And what that's going to do in the market, that's going to cause fear. And what is fear going to do? That's actually that number that I started off with, listings being down, but more being available, that actually is going to start going the other way. Your listing inventory is actually going to start to rise. So we're already seeing new listings enter the market, stay the same or come down a little bit, but more being available. So there's about to be even more available in the next 90 days based on what we're seeing. So moral of the story here, if you're a buyer, you've got a great opportunity to get out there and take advantage of things that sellers weren't able to do before. If you were shopping last year and you got fed up with what's going on in the market, get out there and take advantage of the market that you have right now as a buyer while it lasts. And as a seller, you'd be making a huge mistake unless there's a major change. Now, of course, the major change could be the government could come out and say, hey, everyone's getting a $10,000 tax credit if you go buy a house right now, right? That would cause a pretty significant change in the market. But if things keep continuing the way they're continuing, sellers, you're going to have less equity in the spring than you have right now. So if you're in the situation where you're looking at, well, we got $100,000 in equity, it's very likely that number is going to come down somewhere between 10 and 15% by the spring. So if you were to ask me to make a prediction, and again, I don't have a crystal ball, but based on what I'm seeing in the market and price reductions, it's very safe to say values will be down 10 to 15% in the spring. So $100,000 in equity in your home, all right, that number could go down to 85 or 80. And so if you're a seller in this market, I get it, right? You got life situations going on, so you can't always take advantage of what's going on in the market. I understand that. But you can bet on your equity being lower in the spring than it is today. Buyers, I wouldn't wait, because what if interest rates go up to 7.5%? 6.75, 7.25, that's not out of the question. Right now, you got the best of both worlds, buyers. You can go get some concessions, you can go make offers lower than the asking price and not have many other buyers to compete with. And yes, you might pay a 6 or a 6.5% interest rate, but what happens if you can go and do that in the spring, but you're paying 7.5% interest rate? Because that's certainly not out of the question either. So my recommendation to you, if you want to take advantage of what's happening with buyers right now, or if you want to get the equity out of your house, give us a call today at 855-JEFF-SELLS or online at 855jeffsells.com, and one of our associates would be glad to help you. That is the market update for the month of September 2022. We are looking forward to helping you with your home goals. Thank you, guys.